Hi, good afternoon. This is Jennifer at Workamajig. Sorry about the late start. Um, Welcome. Today we're going to be going over the deliverables. Actually, if you guys can't hear me, let me know. And if you want to do any of the chat on the side, let me know. Go ahead and write on the chat. My name is Jennifer Broadwater, and I'm one of the trainers here at Workamajig. Today we're going to be going over the deliverables, and we have an agenda for that where we're going to talk about the security settings. We're going to set up a simple deliverable, the like regular setup. We're going to go to reviewing the round. We're going to look at that from the person that's reviewing it and then from the person that's setting it up. We're going to go through a second round because there's some different things you can do on that. We're going to look at the follow-up task versus a to-do because they're a little bit confusing the first time you see them, and you may or may not need to even get to this level of detail. We're going to go with the looking at the deliverable board and what it can do for you. And then we'll look at statuses and some backend setup and then transaction preferences. So that's the order in which we are planning on going today. And again, if you have any questions, just stop me as we go through this. Shoot, sorry guys, my Chrome oh, there it is. My Chrome button didn't work and I just almost had a panic attack. All right, so thank you all for coming. It looks like there's about 34 of you today, so that's great. All right, so deliverables, are the way that you can route around whatever item that you guys are making, and there's different kinds that you can do, which we're going to go through that. But to begin with, there is going to be some security setup, and most of the time, project managers and Workamajig administrators already have the security that they need for this, but and I'm going through this as myself. Back end is the first thing we need to go to. So not everybody has this admin manager button, but I do want to make sure that somebody, if you don't have this, somebody in your office does. And then we can go through the system setup. And in the back end, there's the security. It's through account information and transaction preferences. All right. No, I lied already. Security settings. We'll save transaction preferences for later. All right. So the deliverables, and let's just say, like, if you're a creative person, if you're in this group, which has George Bush, Keanu Reeves, and Princess Buttercup, if we just type in deliverable, you can see that there's just a couple things that have to do with that. One, if you're back end, you would have this, but for the most part, you just need to be able to view, maybe edit, and maybe delete deliverables. Sometimes people don't let, your creatives delete deliverables, which is okay, but you can have this here. In addition to these three for each, it's whatever group is going to be needing to use this, which is usually project managers and creatives, but you guys might have some different security groups. But regardless, you do need to make sure that you have some file rights or nobody will be able to see anything. So whatever group you're in here, you want to make sure that you guys, and you should, if you guys are already users, at least have some file rights. And if you are using folders, have some folder rights also. So this is all done by your admin. And this is, again, probably already set up for you, but I just wanted to make you guys aware where it is. All right, so that's just really all of the back end parts that you really need to know. So the deliverable itself, usually people are working on a project, which we're going to go into, but you could make a deliverable from this plus sign. I mean, we make a lot of buttons in Workamajig to make it easier for you. So I can come over here and I can come down to, where's my deliverable? There, right here. The only difference from what I'm showing you is this is going to make you put in the project because I'm not already on the project. So I'd have to pick, where do I want this to go? But most of the time you're going to be on the projects page. So to get to the deliverables to set one up, you're going to go to your projects page, and then you're going to find where today we're going to do one in this Queen of Hearts, what project you're on. And before I go in and start a deliverable and show you the setup of it, I do want to talk a moment about files in general. So a deliverable is the whole routing process. And I also want to talk about, I'm going to talk about the schedule in relation to this, but I do want to let you know some clients will use just an area for their files. That is maybe not something that needs to be routed around, but a files area is generally for things that you might want to see, or you're, collecting up these, and it will allow you to, I can click on it, I can download the link, I can see the picture, a lot of different things I can do here. I could even, we don't recommend this, but at one point some client asked for this enhancement, I can go to here and then start the review process. I can email it out to people. I can move it or download it. So there's a lot of stuff where you might just be putting files, storing them in this area here. So, but that's not the actual process for deliverables. So that's over here. And I'm going to check if there's any chat yet. Nope. Okay. All right. So the beginning of the deliverable usually starts out over here on the right. Typically, I have one already in here, and you may have more than one deliverable. Some people like to, and let's talk about that for a second. Some people only like to have one type of deliverable, one collateral, one per project, and some people will shove 5 or 6 inside of here. A lot of clients will think one per each project. And then if you have a lot of deliverables that you're doing for one client, they've asked you to do a website and a flyer and this and that, they will collect them into a campaign and then create one deliverable for each, meaning because I want to keep it orderly, because sometimes it's hard to control a bunch of deliverables all in one schedule versus having a simple schedule with one deliverable each. And before I start this deliverable, I will also let you know in the schedule for your schedule setup, usually, and you don't have to, but a lot of my clients are doing this now, is you will get down and you will have your deliverable tied to an actual task. And we do recommend this at Workamajig because you'll see as we go through the process, you don't have to, but of course, if I'm getting down to an internal review, and I could even combine these, and I'm assigning this to the person that is going to upload the deliverable, he might be a graphic designer or whatever, he's going to start this deliverable out for me. Then the whole process can be tied to this. And you don't have to do this. Some people use the entire project is considered the deliverable, and some tie it to one specific task. And I'll show you why as we go through this, why it's important. If you do want to work this route, it will work very easily for the creatives on your team. All right, so we're going to start now with a deliverable. Yay. All right, so the first part of doing deliverables, if you aren't familiar with them, is you're going to obviously name it, and Alice's deliverable. They have something to do with what we're doing. And this is where you have the option to tie it to a task. It's already defaulting to the project, and the task that we have on here is we're going to do the internal review approval. And I'll show you again why that is important. Now, the description here is the description of the deliverable itself. Like, this is not the description that when you go to review it, that you're going to, you can see it, but this is like, well, what is this? This is, a PDF, oops, not PDG, of a deliverable. And you can write as much as you want. I'm not going to take the time to write all that. Now, this is important. For one, I'd say 95% of the time, the person who is uploading this deliverable that we're going to talk about is the person that's obviously in here doing this. Now, occasionally you do have a drop down to the other people on your team, and you could change this. But I'm not going to do that for today because it's just going to make more sense for me to do this. The due date is not the due date that the deliverable has to be reviewed by. So I may be giving people in this next step 2 days to get this reviewed. But this is the overall approval I need. If I'm the person that's doing this, I may need 6 rounds of review or something like that. The actual due date by the time I need to get this deliverable done by, not just approved, but done, like fixed. So I might have a whole week to do that. I don't know. This here, for today, I'm just going to do an internal review, but I can also do a client review, and they are 2 separate steps. I'll show you what it looks like though, just so you have an idea. And then you're going to hit save. All right, so once you hit save, a new page is going to open up. And here I said, we have an internal review and we have a client review. And I do want to also mention there is an ability to set up multiple internal reviews or even multiple client reviews inside of here, meaning some of my clients will say, well, on the first internal review, we just send it to 2 or 3 people. And then after those people approve it, then we need a whole nother review to send it to our supervisor. And we don't want them to, that needs to be a completely different step. So we're talking about this step here. I could actually come in here, and I don't need to do this, but make another step for supervisors. or somebody, you know, your account manager, somebody needs to do this, and hit save, and it will add another step on here. And again, we're not going to use the client review today because that would be, but I could have 2 steps for internal review and set them both up. Again, just want to let you know that because somebody was asking me that just the other day, and I thought, oh yeah, you could do that. Well, I'm going to delete that one and make it very simple. We're just going to do that. Why did that not delete? Okay, we're just going to do the internal reviews. Hold on while I ask this. So what if the deliverable that spans several tasks? Do you list the first task? What if a deliverable that spans several tasks? Do you list it in the first task? Yes. Answer live. I don't know what that means. Sorry, my question and answer thing. Thank you, John. Yes, you would put it in the first one if it spans several tasks, and you can change it throughout the process to what you want to connect it to if you need to. But I would definitely stick it on the first one of the first person that's going to need to see that task. All right, so here we are here. And if you look at this is just, we're just going to go over it in a clockwise view. So first, the blue means this is what we're talking about. This is really important how you set this up. And you're going to go to the pen. And back in the transaction preferences that we're going to talk about later, some of this setup can be already set up so the person that's uploading this doesn't need to think about it at all. But this is where we talk about the actual instructions for the person that's going to open it. The deliverable approver needs to see, you know, please review this. You should have something, please review and let me know what you like or don't. You know, this is what they're going to see when they open it. Now, this is important down here, the sending options, because this can trigger confusion or problems depending on how you do it. Most of my clients just have a very simple, let's send it out to everyone at once. And this is really, if you have more than one person that needs to see it. So what if the deliverable sensor? Okay, I don't know if I have to hit done. Oh, sorry about that. I was getting another thing on there, but it's not really. All right, so sending to everyone at once means if you have 3 people that need to look at it, we're going to trigger an email out to all 3 of those people, and they can all give their opinions, right? Yes, no, maybe, whatever. We're going to look at that process. If I send it to people in order, that means if I have 3 people and I'm going to name them on the next set of this process, it may slow up your process because first Mary needs to get it, then Joe needs to get it. And if Mary gets it and she says, this is done, I want to do a thumbs down and it's no good, the other 2 people on this will not see it if I send it to people in order, unless I check everyone must review. So this makes it the most complicated. So this is saying, hey, I need to send this to Joe first. Joe doesn't like it. Too bad. We're still going to send it to the next person, and they still get to have an opinion on it. And if everyone must review it, it can really place a long time on your, you know, if one person isn't in the office and you have to wait a couple of days and you have this on here, this is the lengthiest process that you could do. I'm going to take that off for today, but I will put send people to order so I can show you what you can do if you need to skip somebody, because occasionally that happens. You might have 3 people and somebody's out and we send people in order and all of a sudden Mary's out. We need to get rid of Mary off this or it's going to slow up our project. Days to approve. This is in relation to this deliverable process of the approval process. There is a default in your transaction preference and it always defaults to 2 days, but you can change it. And this is important to note because if I sent this out on a Friday and I have 2 days to approve, it actually counts the weekends. It's kind of weird. I'm not sure if I agree with that, but you could have this step approval to be set on a Sunday if you leave this at 2. If you were sending out on a Friday, sent out on Monday, it's for Wednesday, no big deal. But this is where you would change the number of days I need to get my internal review approved by for the people that are going to be on this. So for today, I'll just say 3, doesn't matter. And then this is important because this step should be paused after being approved. This means if I was going to have that, remember earlier I had the client review on there. If I did have a client review, unless I have this checked on here, then the client, after it was approved internally, maybe it was 3 rounds, 4 rounds, doesn't matter, but maybe it would, and then it would automatically go out by email to the client after that. Some people want to pause it because they want to manually send it to the client. That's fine. If you have this, you can pause it, but if you don't want somebody to actually manually send it, then just leave this off. So, I mean, it only goes to the client after it's completely been approved by the internal review, if you had that step, which we erased. Everyone must log in. This is only necessary if you are people that are sending it to people that are forwarding it. So like if you send it to your client and then he forwards it to his Aunt Alice to look at, then you would probably want people to log in, because you don't want people that are in Workamajig or have anything to do with this being access to our system, basically. So that's when you would have this checked. But if you're just giving it to your client, and for the most part, I wouldn't worry about it. Then the time zone is the time zone that you're in, and then that will trigger, you know, if your client is in a different time zone, it will show up in their time zone for the time that it's due. If 7 GMT, you know, it switches over based on this. Reminders. Okay, well, sometimes people don't do what they're supposed to do, meaning clients don't, or your internal employees are supposed to do stuff and they don't. So you can have this box checked. And let me go down here, where you can send out a reminder to them either daily or hourly to trigger an email to them and say, hey, you didn't look at my deliverable yet. Could you please do it? And I can do that starting like 2 days before the due date if I want to. I don't have to send reminders. It's just if you have a, I guess you would say like employees that don't always do things when they're supposed to, that's when you want to send reminders. But you don't have to. And then you hit save. Okay, so this part, hopefully if you have any questions, you will let me know, but this is how we're going to set it up for right now. The next step of this, let me check for any questions. Nope. Is who's going to be my approver on this? So I am going to add Kevin to be an approver, and we'll say Keanu to be an approver, except I don't want, sorry, I want Kevin to be first, and I want Keanu to be second. All right. So again, I had this to send people in order. I could have clicked and dragged, just so you know, if you had them out of order, you can click and drag them around to what order you want. But this would say that this is going to go to Kevin first and then in order. And if I say thumbs down, then you're going to be creating a second round if I don't approve this. Okay, the notify will default to the person that's doing it. And the reason the notify, that's just an email notification that will tell this person, whoever that it was approved or denied. So you're going to get the notification. So he's triggered to know, oh yeah, they didn't like this and I have stuff to follow up on. So usually it's, and you can do multiple people. And if you do want other people on it, you can have people on the team, your staff, or even contacts. So, you know, it could be any of these people, and you can select everybody if you want, but this is just to trigger an email out to you. All right, so we've done this part. Now we need to add a file. So I'm going to talk about files for a second. When you add files, you'll notice on here, obviously you can do a YouTube or Vimeo. Now those are pretty easy to embed or do. They are within, when you are reviewing them, they're within 7 frames. Clicks or whatever of when you put the you can stop it and you can put what you want to say on it, and it's within 7 frames, so it's very close to what it should be, where you're making your comments of what needs to be changed on it. Most people are usually just uploading files of stuff, and I will tell you it's easiest, or most clients are uploading a PDF or a JPEG. You can add a URL, but it can't be a live site. It needs to be if you are adding a URL on here, you need to read this, and it needs to be an iframe. It needs to be like something that's not live yet, because you wouldn't want people to be marking, you can't really mark up a live site. So most of the time, the URLs have to be done in this frame. And then the other one, if that was URL, an existing file, that's going to take me to the files that I already have on this. Remember I said I put a file on there. I can then bring in this file if I want to, which I'm not going to do because we're not going to review that one there. Today I'm going to do a PDF because I want to show you the different things you can do with a PDF. So I'm going to upload a new file. I believe it's this one. We'll try this one and open that. and it will upload. Boom. So you wait till it gets all uploaded. So I have everything. I know how I want to do it. I know this. And again, this is all stuff we're going to talk about putting in a transaction preference. So you don't have your creative like having to do all this setup for this. I mean, that's unnecessary. So when you're ready, you're going to send it to review. All right. So what happens now? I am going to go over to, I think I already have him up to do this. Yep, Kevin's going to get, what happens is Kevin gets an email, and I should be able to show you what that looks like too. Just a second. I'm going to refresh this page. So Kevin comes to work and two things happen. One, he should have an email, and two, he should have a deliverable to review in his notifications. So he signs into Workamajig, he sees it here. Also, go back down to this. And I think I did this so you guys could see it in here. Hold on a second. There we go. All right, so I just made Kevin Costner my email the same so you can see this. So email will trigger and it will tell you round one, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is an actual email that you get when it comes into you. So I want to kind of just display it so you could kind of see it from the other side because these do work. And it will just be like, click here to add your comments and views. And for some reason it doesn't work, click here. And here's that PDF of a deliverable. Please review. And here's if there was a decision made, if we were doing this out of order and somebody else had already done that, and then it even tells me who it's notified. So I can do it through here and I can open it. Wait for it. All right. And it will open through here and it would still, otherwise I can just open it through my site. So basically I just opened it and here I am. So here's those instructions. Please review and let me know what you like or don't like, right? So this is a PDF because I wanted to show a couple things. One, the first step of this is to go to the plus sign and make your comments and up. And basically the whole purpose of uploading this, and it could be multiple pages, is so that you can do stuff, right? I can come over here and I can make something about this face I don't like, I don't know, and add a comment. Now, some people add each comment individually. Looks great or whatever, and hit save. Some do them all on the same one. Now, when I come back to here, over here, I say I want to use this text. I can go ahead and highlight. Notice it adds here and I can say change to ocean or whatever, right? And I can hit save. Now what this does, I have two. I can click on this one and it shows me this one. I can click on this one, it shows me this one, or I can show all markup and you can see everything. Although if I do all markup and I have multiple pages, just so you know, you'd have to scroll down this. I mean, people are like, well, how does that know? Well, no, you're going to have to use the scroll bar and go down to the next one. So some of my clients will want to use just one and just, you know, put a whole bunch of comments inside one, which is okay. So in that case, like I would come back to here and I can do, let's just show you how this one works. Artist, change to me. So you can do strike through and then you could hit enter and then you could do something else in here also. And I do see a question come in here, which is, it is not a best practice to email a designer if the changes are needed. If he wanted to use deliverables for contract signatures or PDFs fillable within the platform. It's not best practice. I don't quite understand the question. Hold on. I see this. It's not best practice to email the designer if changes are needed. The designer is going to know, are we talking about the person that is uploading the deliverable is going to know you don't have to email them if the changes are needed, because when we get through this process, they're going to be notified through the email. Yes, it is a best practice actually to put them as an email if that's what your question. I'm not quite sure if you want to rephrase that. And then R. Hazen, if we wanted to use deliverables for contract signatures, are PDFs fillable within the platform? No, signatures are not available to say inside of here yeah, I know what you're saying. If you wanted them to see and have a place where they can put their signature to say they're okay with this. No, that's not. You could ask them to make a comment that it was okay. When they do this, you could ask them because they're going to be able to have the access to write something on here and say this is good with me and nothing to fix, or approving it itself is really how you would do it. It depends on the routing process of your company. Yes. So Zasha Morales has said it depends on the routing process of your company has set up, which is absolutely correct. So how is it going to internally versus externally? Yes. Those are two separate processes that don't all have to be. In fact, there is a place, and we'll show you later, that you can hide all of your internal comments from the client. So you could be sending this out to your client without they don't need to see all this because you're making changes before that you get it all nice and pretty for the client. And then they're really just giving an approval or a denial, if that makes sense. All right, so we've made some changes, and then you have the point of this little I, which is also make a decision here. So you can click either one of them. You have 3 decisions typically. If your company wants to hide this one, they can. It will be, I don't have the option to do it as Kevin Costner because he doesn't have any rights, but if this is not part of your process, it's either approve or resubmit. That's great. That's fine. We can hide this option. This option is telling you, hey, I have a couple changes here, but I don't need to see it again. It's officially approved. Please make these changes. So if all those changes that I meant on this comments, it's as good as gold, but I still need you to make them, but don't send it as round 2. Resubmit will automatically give you a plus sign to do a round 2. And I approve means I approve. Let me go check this one more time. No, if a PDF contains a live URL link, oh yes, they will. I'm sorry. And I didn't demonstrate that inside here. So yes, if you have a link inside of here, it would open in a new browser from here to see that. So yes, you can do that. And if you hit approve, can you add a new round to that deliverable if something changes? I believe you can, and there should be a plus sign, and I'll say approve though, that's the problem. So if you hit approved and if something changes, that's a really good question because Holly, actually people tell me this all the time. Once I hit approve and I accidentally made a mistake and actually need to change it, the round, you need to cancel the round and start a new round. So no, actually that's not, it won't let you just start a new round without canceling it if the round's already been approved. So, and I'll show you that option in 1 second on here. Did I skip any of these? PDF? No, URLs will be okay, and that's okay. And there's one more question. If you want to ask a question to a person not on the reviewer list, what's the best way to pull them into the deliverable? Oh, good. I'm glad that you were going to ask that because we're going to go into that next, because there's a part where you, from the deliverable, you can actually email them. And I'll show that to you 1 second. So let me just do that. The client can download the deliverable. Of course, yes, the client can. There is actually, where can I, and that's a good, you said the client can upload and download the deliverable, because I didn't talk to you about that, but John, a lot of clients are still using actual Word documents or PowerPoint, and you cannot mark up either of those in Workamajig. You have to download them, and the client can download them, make their comments inside of Word. You know, Word has the ability to do that too, and then they would have to upload it back up. And then give their approval. So they won't, basically, if you're doing that process and it's something like that's to download and then you're reviewing it inside of a Word document, you're not going to have this. All you're going to be doing is they're downloading it, they're making their changes, uploading it, and then just coming over to the decision area. I think that one's okay. This one's okay. Let me just make sure. Oh, lots of questions. One more, I'm going back to a couple more questions before we go on. Oh yeah, I'm going to talk to you about the questions, and the client can up down the, okay. All right. I think I got all those. I'm just sorry, guys. I just want to make sure I don't miss any of that. All right. So I'm going to show you how you can do that. There's one more question. Can we add sign follow-up task? Yes, the option to click here. I'm going to do that on the second round, Sasha, don't worry, because I want to show you how the follow-up task, assigning this stuff down here and what all that means as far as also on the fix this, because one is a to-do and one is just changing, and I'm going to show you that on round 2. So let me go through round 2, and I'll definitely address all 3 of those questions that are still outstanding. So in any case, I'm just going to quickly say resubmit so you guys can see this. Okay, decision was saved. And now I need to go back to this one. Okay, so I'm back to Jennifer. Jennifer gets an email. Oops, Jennifer messed that up. Hold on. Sometimes when I'm two people at once, it opens wrong. Just 1 second. All right. Queen of Hearts. All right, a couple of questions that you guys asked. So now, round one. Oh, I forgot to change this to waiting. I'm going to talk about this also. All right, so Alice's first deliverable has resubmit. One of the things, if you said you wanted to do it to a client and it doesn't have to do with this round, like I can go to a conversation and attach this file to them. So from this page, so let me go back one because I didn't do that very clearly. You're back on your project itself. And I'll talk about why this says waiting to start, which I should have changed into in progress actually, and that's a status. You all click on the deliverable itself. Here's the round. This plus sign, because it says resubmit, shows up. If you had approved it already, instead of getting a second round and it was an accidental and I needed to make changes, you would come to this more and you'd have to cancel the round and start all over. There's no other option other than to cancel the round if you accidentally approved it when you shouldn't. This not required for Keanu Reeves, and it's resubmit anyways, so that's okay. Let me go back to this. So I can go to over to this conversation. It's going to be triggered by, you can say, hey, I need to email this to my client. Of course, I'm not looking at clients. Let me look at contacts. Client contacts. Do I have a client contact? All right, so I can find my client contact, add email, and they'll be appearing here. Maybe I don't need to have these people emailed, and I could attach that file for this deliverable if I want to, or whatever. It could be a link or whatever you want. You could put links in here as a post. In fact, some of my clients do use links all the time in their posts, and you can send this new post is really a post to the project itself inside of the deliverable. So we have like a bunch of different, I guess you'd say, like ways to do this. So, hello, I like this. You can tie it all the way back down to the task, but not necessary. And then I have types in mind, so I could have a type, and not everybody has these set up, and I can show you how you can do that. And it does need to be, if it's your client, it will be by default to visible to client. I mean, it would be silly to take that off, and you hit save. And now you have a conversation tied, and this was with the PDF that was just sent as an email to the client. So a lot of fancy stuff you can do over here. We'll talk about, I can see all the entire feed of everything that happened so far. I added this, I made the deliverable, I had changes needed. All right, so the point of this though, is the round comes back to me to say, ooh, why is it resubmit? What do I need to do? And I definitely am going to talk about these two things in a second also, so don't worry. The resubmit part is the part where before we do round two, that the employee that's uploaded this should be coming and very easily going back to view comments. So they come over here and they're like, what's wrong with this? They come over here and they're like, oh, why did Kevin say I need to do this, this, and this? Great. So that's one process. Now I'm going to go through this as a second time so I can show you the to-dos and how it's, what it triggers on that task. Because you have to remember, we have myself is triggered on the task itself. Actually, I think I put the task. Did I put my task to myself? Ugh. Hold on 1 second, guys, because I think I put the tasks to Kevin, not myself. Here I am. I should have put my name on this. It helps if I have the right person assigned to the job. All right, go back and going back to this deliverable on resubmit. So I want to show you what happens, how you do the follow-up task and make changes now that I'm the right person. You're going to click a plus sign. Over here, you have two choices. You can include the files from the last round, which is typically what you want to do. I mean, most of my clients would do that so we can do a comparison. And you could make a whole new round. This is a pain because it's going to leave everything blank and it's going to say, okay, change up everything. Now, why would you do that? You're just sending it around the same. So I'm just going to do same as the last round, but you have two choices here. Well, all that does is makes it easier for you because you've already set this all up, and I don't need to, I can come in here and that's what I wanted to explain earlier. I could come in here and just say, I don't need Keanu on this anymore and take him off as an approver. Some people don't know that it's on there. If I was going to do send to people in order and everybody must review, and when I expanded this, it would say skip. There would be a blue skip button and I could actually skip that person if I needed to at any time. But here's again, before the whole point of this, it's already set up. All I need to do is trigger a new file. So we pretend we have a second file in here and it's going out and Kevin's going to approve it. Why does it say status not sent? Oh, because I didn't send it yet. I just uploaded it. So I'm sending it out and now I need to jump over to be Kevin again, which hopefully doesn't mess anything up. All right, so Kevin gets this a second time. We're just going to go through here. You should see the deliverable and it should say round 2. All right, so this makes it so I can go and see the first one if I want to. There's the first one, or I can see this. Here's my round 2. So this is why you sometimes want to have the comparison and make in your more key, you have a compare option here. And then when you click that, you're going to click, what am I comparing this to? And then both options will come up. Normally these two things would look a little bit closer than this. I just haven't worked on that yet. So what does this do? So I can come back through here, I'm reviewing this and see, whoa, what were my comments last time? Did they fix it? Right? So that's a really good thing to do. Of course, I have these options at the bottom, if I need to up and close, be this, and then to come over to this side, and then I can do the same thing. So basically, before I start adding comments, because this is going to shrink this because I don't really have any other choice, most likely you should come over and just hit hide compare and it will bring it back to the middle. And then if, as I go through this. All right, so let me show you what this follow-up task stuff can do. Change to T, or whatever you want to say. You saw also through this process, somebody was asking, one of you guys was asking earlier, I could actually just come over here and email this to a client just from this part right here, just so you know that is your client contacts. I can add them in here to email also. That's usually that should be a separate part of your process. You shouldn't be doing that from here, but just note that, and I can still attach things if I need to. That should be in round 2. Is there a limit to the number of comparisons one can do? It will only compare it to any previous round. So if you had round 3, you would have 3 files up there. So yeah, I mean, it's obviously, you can do 5 rounds. Then you can see all 5 of them in the comparison and you can pick which ones you want to compare it to. That's why there was that drop down that said, which one do you want to compare it to? If I had 4 in there, I can compare only 2 at a time, but you pick which one you want to do. So it will say compare to round 1, compare to round 2, compare to round 3. So that you couldn't have 5 pictures on here, but you compare it to that. So that's a good question, Vineet, on that. And I'm glad you said that. All right, so there's 2 things before that you can do. Fix this. So this is a big new thing that we had in the last year. Fix this means this, when it goes back to me, Jennifer, it's going to be a to-do if you guys are using to-dos, and this will only show up if you are using to-dos for that task to have a to-do to say change to T. So I'm going to click this and show you where that shows, right? On here, when you open that, it's going to ask me, in addition to the to-do, do I want that to-do to be on this review, internal review, or do I need to change it to a different task? This is your process. I can't tell you. I would say typically I would use an existing task, or maybe I need to shove a whole new task in here and following that task. Like it's giving you, basically we give you so many options you can do. I can come down here and say, oh no, I want to shove it in after this one, which I'm not going to do. I'm just going to leave it as that and use the existing task. But I could create a whole new task right from here. So what I'm doing is also, this is going to tell me on that task that I was assigned, I had 2 hours total. I don't like the way that cuts off. Total hours is 2. At this point, I'm saying, hey, it's going to take you another hour to fix this one little thing on here. So I'm going to actually change and give you 3 hours now. So originally your task was set for 2. I'm going to change it to 3 hours of graphic design on here and I hit save. So so what this is doing, it's creating a follow-up task, which just happens to be the same task, and it's going to put a to-do on there, and I'm going to show you what that looks like from the other side. So I'm going to hit save. All right. And then I'm also going to make my decision again, and I'm just going to say resubmit. Okay, so there may be other people on here that also are making comments and doing this, but what I want to show you is how that looks. Okay, anonymous attendee. Is it possible to have one person A upload the first round and person B, the owner, and be the owner? Wait, person B, the owner, and the person B could upload the subsequent rounds? Yes. So the question is really, could you have multiple people putting their hands in this basket, but the person that is the only person that's going to see these fix this stuff is the, well, actually, if you had more than one person on that task, yes, but how would they know? So you would have to go back to the task level and you would have to add that person, the second person that needs to be involved in this to the task itself in order to see the follow-ups that need to be completed. But anybody can go in and make a second round that has the security right to do that versus just the person that uploaded it. So what you're saying basically is if you had an administrative person do it on the first one, but it really needs to be Kevin Costner, yes, either one of those people can do the uploading of the rounds at each time. So let me make sure that probably wasn't very clear, but we'll demonstrate that. All right, so here we're going to go back out of Kevin for now. And that this happened last time when I went over to this, it didn't quite work right. So hold on while I log out and log back in. All right, there's one more question. Thanks. Oh, that wasn't a question. Good. Okay. So what happens now? So hopefully you guys are using what we would call the Creatives Today page. Yay. All right. So what we will see on here, here's the card. This is what happened when I said thumbs down and it made that follow-up task, which is really the same task because I put it on the same exact task. But now you'll notice it says one open to do on the deliverable. So your person would be alerted to do this. So they were like going to click on it and it's going to see, hey, change to T. Now this is the one strange thing. This is actually not assigned until you click on it. And well, it's not assigned to you, but you can actually have it assigned to yourself. So when you first click on it, it might not say it will not, it will just say not assigned. How does this get assigned? You have to actually go back to, actually, I'm going to step out of this page not to confuse you guys for a second, but I want to show you how it actually gets assigned. 1 second, answer 3. The client approver download. I'm just making sure the client or approver can download. I'm just making sure I have not missed that answer. Done. Okay, I think I've answered all these. Okay. So the weird thing is, okay, let me go back to this. The to-do itself is assigned to the task. It does not automatically get assigned to the person. So you have a couple options. You can leave it like that. The person can complete it. So in other words, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you assign it, if it's on here and it's not actually assigned to someone, it doesn't matter. They would come in here and they can still mark it completed and add a comment. Yeah, I fixed this and do it. Now, if you really wanted to, you can go back into the deliverable itself and assign that to the person, meaning it's going to show blank right now. And I'm not going to do anything with that. I want to show you the other. Did you answer this question live? Thanks. Oh, I think I might have accidentally missed your question. Can you rewrite the question that you need? Oh, it just says thanks. That's not the question. I'm sorry, guys. Things pop up and I'm not positive if I did this. Let's see. Give me 1 second. I just want to make sure these are answers. Possible how this one, I answered that. One open, done. Okay. All right. We're back to being done. Oh, you think I'm new or something, which I'm not. All right. So let's go back to that project. The Queen of Hearts in progress. Resubmit. Okay. Let me just go back. So this is the deliverable again. And I told you that the to-do is not actually added to a person yet. So if I go to this to-do and I open it, and I go to the, I think it's the details, you'll notice in the details that it's blank. If there was multiple people on this task, then you would come down and you would see like 2 people's name. Like you were saying, like if you had 2 people working on it or something like that, then you can assign it to a person. When you hit save on here, now, again, it's not necessary in my opinion, because most 95% of the time, you're only going to have one person on that task. But now if I go back to my Creatives Today page and I look at this open to do, it would actually be assigned to me. See, it has my name here. And this is where I can say, I completed it, and you have an option to do time entry directly related to this deliverable now. So if I mark this complete, great. I can add a time entry and say, hey, here's my deliverable. Now, again, you don't have to go to this detail. I mean, a lot of people are not actually tying time to deliverables, but we made it an option now to tie the time directly to deliverable. Why would you want to do that? Do you need to get a report out later that says, how much time did Bobby Joe actually spend on, why does it say 147? Oh, I don't know. On this, I guess that's a number, on this actual thing. And then I can come through here and say I'm done with this task if I need to, but we're not, because it needs to be done some more. So I have this task, I need to redo it, I need to upload it again. Now you're looking at the deliverables being open, and I just closed out the to do, if that makes sense. So this is how the person sees it from that side. From the task or from the project side, go back to the project, it's saying resubmit. So this is, again, I'm still on this task. The task is still open. We went down and I assigned it to myself over here, internal review. I'm not done with it yet. It's not going to be complete until I get that next round done. So it goes back through the process again. And I remember I can't believe how long this is taking. I'm not going to go through the whole, resubmitting it one more time because I have some other stuff, but I want to let you know now the to-dos. I can see that I closed that one over here, right? So that to-do got closed. I can still see the conversation, and oh, the time entry I didn't approve my time yet. Oh, there it is. So here's the time entry that I had just done for that half hour. I can see that there, and here's the round. So I have the 2 on there, and we talked about I can do as many rounds as I want. Same, the whole process just goes around and around until you do it, and then you could add more files, and then you can do the comparison between the 3, and you can change up any of this stuff as we go. All right, so let me check my schedule, what we have to do. Simple, round, follow-up versus a to-do. So this is usually the most confusing part. The follow-up task is where I put it on the same task, or you could have changed the task, and then I added the to-do, which was the to-do is the fix this. I do want to talk a couple more things before we get done, and one is the deliverable board, and why would you use this? Not everybody takes the time to actually look at this, and the deliverable board has 2 different ways. So let me go back over to that deliverable board. So you do have project manager, deliverables. So this is your deliverable board. I would have said that to do over here, but we'll cancel that for right now. I'm on this project. Here's the one we're in process. Actually, I should now, moved it over here. I have 2 ways of looking at this. This is a setup right now that I configured under what's called statuses, and not everybody needs statuses, but if you feel like the deliverable itself has its own set of things that process it needs to go through, then you'll want to set up statuses, and the statuses lets me go through and move it to different things, and I'll show you how to set this up. Most of the time you'll have tasks. I mean, all the time you'll have tasks. So I can see that this task, oh, I'm in the wrong, I was like, that's not the right picture. These are all the tasks. It was a long project. And here I am in that task that we had internal review. It was assigned to me, and here's my deliverable, and I can open it up and I can see it and stuff like that. But here we are. What's the purpose of this is where are we at in this project, and be able to get into this, by clicking on it, I can go back to it. It's really a board where I can see multiple. The reason I have it like this is because I can have multiple deliverables all under one project. Here's my client, here's my project, here's every task on that project, and where are these off, and you can move them through the process if I need to. So that's one way. I can also see it, and I like this view too. How are we at? I have 2, because you guys can see that I have 2 on here. the one that we just did is Alice's, and it's still an internal review. And I can actually click on this and change it if I'm done with it. So say I'm done. So it changes the color. I can see that conversation. Remember you asked about doing somebody asked me about the conversation. I can click right back into this and open that up. Whoops, I don't know why I opened that up. Okay, I can open this up. From here, I can see what my current round is. I can see the due date. I can see the round count, which is important to people. You know, like this view is beautiful for me. I love it. I just think it's the most helpful. And then I would say, you know, you also, the statuses through here is just a nice simple way to like move things around. So we have this board for you. In addition, not to worry, because we give you so many different ways to do things. If you don't like using this board or any of these, oh, I can even see it on a calendar. Here it is, you know, like I can do, here's my deadlines for this here and here, which is beautiful also if you like to see it on that view. So the purpose of this really is so I can hide my images and they can fold up if I need to, as I can hop around to different deliverables if I need to and see where they're at. And this status thing I'm going to get to in a second, but I also want to show you one more way to look at these. If you're a project manager, don't forget in your today PM, because you're not working just with one project, you're working with 1,000 projects, right? I can come down here and I can go to my deliverable views. And this, the one you guys should have, it should already be in there, is just to like pull up deliverables with all, you know, and it's just going to give me a list of all the clients. Here's my client, here's the different deliverables for each client, and I can see it in a mass, you know, way. You might be interested in like what I did to just make a simple number of revisions per project, because that might be of interest to you guys, where I can just come in here and it should just be a very simple, how many rounds did this take? 9 rounds, right? For these different deliverables. So you can create different views based on what your needs are. And, you know, and then they can have filters. So I can just go to that one client, which was Alice, and just see the data for that one, right? It's only going to pull up the ones that, well, I have a bunch of other ones in here, but you can see the total rounds and where I'm at. Here's the one we did today. We're on round 3. So this could be good data for you. So just note that that's going to be through your project manager today PM deliverables. Not only that, I will take one more step over here. Everybody has access to the report center. And just guess what? In the report center, I think it's another report, deliverables. You can make your own reports if you have access to custom reports, and just, you know, I might want to have a deliverable detail one, and you can see, hey, I need to get to see all the ones that are done, what's in progress. Like you can make your own reporting out of here, how many round counts and what information you need. If you need more details on how to set something like this up, you can write to support@workamajig.com and they'll go over how to make these, or you can write to them and tell them to write to me and I'll make a board for you, whatever you need to customize to yourself. All right, so there is a couple other things we need to go over, which is, oh shoot, where'd my little list go? Statuses and backend setup, and then we'll get to this. So I talked about in the back end how I was using statuses. Well, those aren't going to come up unless you guys are able to go to the admin manager, system setup, and transaction preferences. So one of the things I showed you today actually stems from the project itself. I think, no, maybe it doesn't, I lied. It's down on this deliverables tab. And I'm going to talk up the setup, but use status with deliverables. If this is not checked, you're not going to get that view that I showed you where I made statuses. Once you have this on here, you have to check this first. Then you can go out and make your own statuses. So from that page, you have the ability to go to deliverable status. This will not show up unless that box is checked. And what this means for you guys, it's very simple. You can insert and change and move these around. I can check this over here. You'll have some defaults in there. I think I've changed all my defaults. You can make it different colors so you can make it pretty. And one of them will be the default that everything goes into, which definitely should not be. Oh, that's marked as completed. One is the default to start with and one is completed. And then you're moving it through that process, and you can call these whatever you want, but it's up to you guys. Like what do you want to make this, and is it even helpful? Again, this statuses went direct as the direct result of what I built over here in statuses. So again, So you're basically having inside of your task, you're having a deliverable, and inside that deliverable, the deliverable has its own life process of itself, right? And that's some detail that some clients don't and some clients do. All right, so back to here, admin manager system setup. One more thing in that transaction preference, we went down to the deliverable section, and this is where at the top part of this, you can set it up how you guys want to do it. So it's not hard for your employee to set this up. You know, if I'm going to send it out every time with everyone must review, click it here. That days to review, that was where I was telling you, it's like sometimes that lands on a Saturday, like what's your default? You can change it at the level that when you're actually doing it, but make this easier. Do I want reminders set out? How often? Number of days to start? Like this is the instructions. Instead of having to type those instructions, make them here. That way, every time somebody opens the deliverable, they'll see those instructions. Here's that pause. And here's an interesting one, or a very important one. If you are doing the client review, which most of my client people are now, you know, sending this out to the client to review. If you don't want them to see internal comments, uncheck this box. I think it's checked by default. So you might want to uncheck it. Excuse me. Then this can get really tedious down here, or I can say annoying. If you send an email, every time someone adds a comment, okay, this can get really out of control. And I've seen clients have this on and then like 10 minutes later, like that was a super bad idea because I've just have 5 people reviewing this and I've just received 10 different emails for every comment and I don't need this. I can go to the deliverable itself and see the comments. I don't need somebody putting too much stuff on my plate right now. So just be cautious if you're using that. This is the to-do item. I could have not created that to-do with that fix this without this being checked. You won't have that option. So if you like that, fix this and giving somebody something detailed to fix on it, making those comments really a to-do, then you want to have that checked. And that was that status. And those are the types. So you can also control, and I don't have this on, but you can have different types. Maybe you have collateral types or website. If you check this, then you're going to get additional feature down in your global list to make different types of deliverables. And, it's really for reporting. Do I need this? Do I need to break this down into how many types of websites we did for different clients? It's a reporting aspect. Requiring tasks, I actually think this is a good idea, but it's not required unless you check this to say I must have a task for each deliverable and then send notifications to users. Here's some other ones. You guys can obviously read and go through what's important. So every time, I can say every time I want both a client and internal review. And then again, we talked about this, and I will end with a couple more questions, but I do want to just make sure you guys understand, because this is getting more and more, people are getting more and more complex. When I go into the deliverable, let's go around 3. Don't forget that I could from here later on make more steps. So if I need this done and then I need to do a new one, and then it will just put it underneath the last one that you did. So now I have this and it's not sent. So I'm making my whole second step here. And then I would have had that client one I can also do. So don't be afraid to use that. And don't forget that you can delete rounds if you mess that up also. I'm about to close this up, but I have a couple more things. Will I be emailing you this lesson? Vanessa, good question. Actually, it will appear on our support guide. And if I didn't already talk about that, I should. So hopefully you guys got into this area. It actually will be on YouTube. I'll be a star soon, right? Not deliverable, webinar helps. If you just type in webinar on support.workamajig.com, you'll be able to, in a couple of days, get to all the past ones, and then they'll be embedded in YouTube. They won't send it directly to you, but it will be here. So just note that. Okay, a couple other things that really quick before we go. Sorry, transaction preferences. There was a couple things that people ask me all the time. What is the maximum file size? 2 gigs per file. So just note that is because otherwise it would take too long to load. Then people always ask me about your schedule. So, how does this relate? So I actually wanted to show you wrong setup. Okay, so the wrong setup for a schedule. It doesn't need to be like this. And people were doing this before. I do not need to have separate rounds for round 2. When I have a round, this, like if I'm doing an internal approver, every round can be set on this. I don't need to see a separate round for this. So I would say this is condense your templates or your projects if you're doing round 2, round 3, because people are saying, well, I don't know how many rounds. Like they used to be like, I have a whole bunch in this list and I never needed this round. And the project manager has to come in and manually take that round out. Just keep it all simple. Just do one internal round and that internal approval. And then that internal approval encapsulates the different rounds. So just, this is just like the best practice, I would say, on that. And then there's a couple other questions. I think I showed you, if you have multiple people and it's send to people in order and the person's out sick or you need to skip them, that you have that ability to go into the approvers on here and open it up and delete them out or skip them. It will say skip or delete. That's important. If you accidentally approved it, the only thing you can do is to cancel the round and start over if you accidentally approved it. We can't do the live site links. They have to be, you know, if you have a website in process, and that a live site won't work. And one more thing, I know some of you guys are dropping off. Okay, that's okay. One thing I like to do, jumping from the projects page. So a lot of people use your projects page. You'll notice on here, I can jump right to the deliverables. If you list this on here, what's nice about this, it takes you to the deliverable board of the deliverable if you need to see it on here. So how do I get this is on here? You need to go to your more key and you would be a person that has system settings. And then you would go down to system settings and add that as a column on here for deliverables, which is right here. So it's a quick jump. So there's no reason, we want to make things as easy as possible. Then you would also, if I hadn't already closed it, you would have saw the to do that was open and it would have taken me to do that would open that page of what needs to be done. Last thing, sometimes people tell me this, I keep saying last thing, that they have a problem open, like their client or themselves, they go into a deliverable, and I'm sure it's happened to all of you, and you can't open it for some reason, or one person, like everybody has access to it, and then one person in the office cannot open it. Okay, a couple things trigger that, so I just want to make you guys aware. Last thing, one, if that happens to someone, make sure that they have their, you know, their Mac up to date and their browser's up to date. You'll get a little thing in the corner if your browser's not up to date. Most of the time it works great in Chrome. We work with Mozilla Firefox, we work with Safari. I use all three of them and I don't have a problem with it. But if you're not updated and you haven't updated your computer in a while, that's the first step. The second step is you want to make sure if it's a problem with something you have in there. So you would need to, I would always suggest, if I can't open it, go in incognito mode, which is usually by your name in the corner. I don't know if you guys can see this, but you know, it will open up a browser that will look black, and you will open up Workamajig inside of that, or your email, and then see if it opens. If it still doesn't open after that, then I do troubleshooting all the time. And it's usually something to do with in your settings that you have extensions, and you might have an extension in here that you need to disable for us to let it come through, meaning you might have something blocking it, basically, is another reason. So I can usually troubleshoot that. So if anytime you are having a problem opening it, or somebody's having a problem opening it, first thing I do is say, are you up to date? And your browser's up to date, your computer's up to date, and go in incognito, try it in a different browser. For some reason, it's not working in Mozilla Firefox, try it in Chrome and see if it works. And then thirdly, email us. Hey, and I always hop on a meeting with you guys. Like I'll set up a Zoom and I'll let you share your screen and we'll troubleshoot it. And I have never not been able to get it fixed. So, I mean, it's usually just something very simple. Like, you know, I have something installed that's not working with Workamajig, or haven't cleared out my browser in 200 years, something like that. So any other questions before I go today? I want to thank you guys for your time. And if you want to follow up with other questions that you have after this, go to support@workamajig.com. My name is Jennifer Broadwater. I'd be happy to help you. It will go to your actual advisor, your account manager. And if you want to direct it to me, that's fine. They'll send it over to me. Otherwise, thank you for joining today, and you guys have a good day. And I'm going to end meeting now. So take care.